Hi there! From antiquity to the present day, science has been the main instrument of man in an attempt to understand how the world works. However, despite all the scientific developments, science is not always able to explain the phenomenon that is happening on our planet right now. According to geological scientists, incomprehensible and strange phenomena have been occurring in Siberia for some time now, like these mysterious craters. The first craters began to appear there in 2013, and pilots discovered them during a planned flight over the Yamal Peninsula. Later, another giant crater was discovered by local reindeer herders, but in a different place. And now, recently, 4 new craters were found, ringed with the same strange small funnels. To date, they are flooded with water and turned into reservoirs, each of which is approximately 160 feet wide. The reasons for their occurrence, scientists have not yet identified. The local inhabitants of Yamal Peninsula told scientists that they had seen bright flashes of light not so far away from the strange craters. Most researchers believe that these flashes of light are the result of an explosion of underground gas, and it is because of them that these mysterious holes were formed in the ground. This version was supported by well-known archaeologists who study Siberia and the Arctic. They also warned that such an event could be repeated on any part of Siberia on a large scale. However, many of their colleagues refute this opinion, since they believe that unstable methane, which can explode from time to time, is located in the depths of the Earth at a depth of over 650 feet, and those holes that formed on the Yamal Peninsula are not so deep. Still, others say that due to global warming, the layers of permafrost began to thaw and the craters that existed beneath it were on the surface of the Earth. But scientists have not come to a common opinion on this issue. By the way, scientists call the deepest lake on the planet Baikal, a bomb that can explode at any time. This assumption arose from the fact that during the exploration of the bottom of Lake Baikal, cracks were found in the crust, and it is likely that the very unstable methane from which is believed to have caused the strange craters to appear has appeared in the lake. And if the explosion of Lake Baikal does happen, it will lead to a large-scale environmental catastrophe. A rather unusual phenomenon occurred on the coast of the town of Fort Erie in the Canadian province of Ontario. The ice tsunami, which according to eyewitnesses in some places reached a height of 40 feet. It was so powerful that it carried trees and streetlights in its path. A similar pattern was observed in other areas along the lake, including the Hoover Beach in Hamburg, near Buffalo, where piles of ice rose to a height of 30 feet. Jack Schultz, one of the locals, told the Buffalo News newspaper, "For the first time in my entire life, I saw such a natural phenomenon so close to my own home. The ice sheet grew layer by layer, sweeping away everything in its path." Witnesses also compared the sound of this tsunami with the crash of a passing train or a loud clap of thunder and the sound of a multitude of windows crashing simultaneously. More recently, scientists have discovered that a tectonic plate has gradually begun to form off the coast of Portugal, and the upper layer is separated from the bottom. Marine geologist from the University of Lisbon, Juan Duarte, at a meeting of the European Union of Earth Sciences, presented his study, which draws this conclusion. Over the last century, 2 catastrophic earthquakes occurred off the coast of Portugal. Duarte and his colleagues studied the data on 2 earthquakes. One very powerful earthquake of 1969, which caused a tsunami, and another Great Lisbon earthquake of 1755, when the city was almost completely destroyed and 100,000 people were killed. According to them, anomalous shifts are taking place in the crust off the coast of the border of the continental and oceanic lithospheric plates. This could be the beginning of a new catastrophic earthquake, as well as tectonic movement uniting Europe and Canada. Other researchers who also took up the study of this phenomenon believe this is too early to draw conclusions, but the instability of this region causes great concern because at any moment, such an earthquake can recur, and now is the time for people to be prepared. Very recently, the city of Mildura, which is located in the northwestern part of the Australian state of Victoria, was covered by an incredible sandstorm that came out of nowhere. Wind gusts reached 55 miles an hour, On the streets of the city, visibility deteriorated significantly, so drivers were forced to stop their vehicles, and people on the streets tried to hide wherever possible. This event raged on for 20 minutes. The whole city was plunged into darkness. According to eyewitnesses, this was the most powerful dust storm they had seen in the last century, and it ended as suddenly as it began. Scientists argue about the possible causes of this cataclysm, but they did not come to a common opinion. Dangerous microorganisms were found in the dust, which the wind carried from thousands of miles away. These can cause severe infectious diseases and, as a result, trigger a wave of epidemics. More recently, most parts of North Carolina were covered by a mysterious haze with a greenish tint. Scientists have concluded that the cause of this mysterious phenomenon is an excess of pollen in the air, which is coming from pine, oak, beech, and birch trees. This news has absolutely not pleased local residents of the state, who have suffered allergic reactions. In the city of Durham, the concentration of pollen from the trees and plants in the air was so high that experts called it life-threatening. Researchers have determined that a surplus of carbon dioxide emissions is the result of a significant increase in the average temperatures in the region, which is associated with global climate change on the planet. This also happens in other parts of the planet where the average annual temperature rises sharply. Specialists working in the Geological Survey of the United States of America made a statement that in Yellowstone Park, where there is a large area of geothermal activity, they found a thermal anomaly, which is considered relatively new, but with a tendency to expand. They found it through the work of satellites. This anomalous object was discovered after the trees began to massively die in a separate part of the park. Scientists made a detailed analysis of infrared images from satellites from 2018 and compared them with pictures from 1990. When comparing, the conclusion was as follows. In the area between the geothermal zone called Lake Tern and Lake West Tern, a new thermal zone was formed, which has not been seen until recently. Its appearance suggests that Yellowstone's hydrothermal activity began to manifest itself. In the park, there are more than 10,000 geysers, as well as hot springs, which are a reflection of the process of magmatic activity taking place at depth. Scientists have previously proved that there is a chamber below the surface, which is filled with molten magma and is approximately 45 miles wide and 5 meters thick. The eruption of this giant is able to return civilization to the Stone Age, and the activation of new thermal sites is definitely a bad sign. Not so long ago, American researchers from the University of Washington concluded that the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest place on our planet, is at the same time a huge funnel into which water of the world's ocean flows. This is similar to a drain in the bath. Scientists believe that the Mariana Trench was formed as a result of the active movement of tectonic plates in the region, namely in the Pacific and in the Philippines. The presence of such a unique leakage is very interesting to modern specialists because presumably quite a significant amount of water can go through it. With the help of specialized equipment, scientists conducted a study in this area, and the results were very unexpected. At this place, there are still active seismic areas, and at a very great depth. According to preliminary estimates, water can go through much more than previously thought. The question remains, where does all that water that flows through the funnel go to? Maybe it is distributed into some underground tanks. Unfortunately, there are no official answers at the moment. What do you think about this? Write about it in the comments. And that's all for today, friends. Our world is changing, and so far, few people know what will happen next. Therefore, stay with us, and we will follow the latest events together. And don't forget to put like if you like this video. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more.